Services Board meeting number 2403, Thursday, March 21st, 2024. First, we're going to have I'd like to bring up Constable Tario to provide a presentation regarding the e-crimes unit. Hi, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. I had a PowerPoint, just make sure it was brought up there. Perfect. Yeah, I'm Constable Terrio. I'm currently assigned to the Digital Forensics Unit here in Kingston. I've been in there since 20. Thank you. Oh, thanks. I got a clicker there. Yeah, so I was employed with the Edmonton Police Service from 2014 up until 2022, coming to Kingston, did my time on the road, and then went into the Technological Crimes Unit there. That's where I was trained to do digital forensics. So that's where I completed 9 weeks at the Canadian Police College, broken up, where it covered computer forensics, internet evidence, network investigative techniques, and mobile device forensics. I also got a specialization with Burla Ivy, which is a vehicle forensic software for infotainment systems. So where they're getting the GPS and messages and phone calls that we can extract from the vehicles themselves. Also X-ways and some other stuff. When I came here in 22, I was on the road for a year, and then I took over for Kevin Williams in 23 after he retired in August, I believe it was. My unit's very small. It's just me. I handle all the general side of things. My main 96% of the stuff that I'm seeing is phones coming in from everything from a shoplifter all the way up to a homicide. I cover extractions, analysis, repairs on devices. If you have one that's been smashed, broken, shot, drowned, whatever, I'll find a way to fix it and still get the data out of it. Vehicles, once again, which are hugely labor intensive. As we all know, they're highly technical, and you have to disassemble the vehicle right down to raw components to remove say a stereo, which is usually what I'm targeting. I also assist with video retrieval and processing of the evidence that comes off of them using forensic software again to confirm that it's been unedited or just basically made to be viewed, because a lot of the units we're seeing are coming from proprietary software that is designed generally outside of North America, say China. So they all use these weird file systems that we'll never ever see. So we need this software for that. I also assist with warrants and warrant writing. So I'll attend for scene warrants just to more or less pull systems offline, make sure there isn't anything that's kind of outstanding that hasn't been located, that type of things. And then, yeah, general tech assistance as well. So if someone's having problems getting a file off of a complainant's phone or even a member's phone that might be relevant to their investigation, I'll assist where I can. Yeah, so since joining the unit, as mentioned, I brought Burla with me. We did have to purchase it. Obviously, I shouldn't say I brought it with me. It was still still an expense, but we have been successful in doing 4 extractions since we've purchased it. Which in reality, if you pay one single company to do a Burla extraction for you, it's about $10,000, and the software, our hardware purchase was that price. So us doing that one extraction covered the cost of the hardware. So it was fantastic because the renewal fees are way less. We brought in Cellbrite Cloud Analyzer. We've only used it a handful of times, but it is, once again, when we need it, it's absolutely amazing. DVR Examiner also assists with the video retrieval and analysis, and Cellbrite Premium, which is our big dog. I just wanted to basically overview how busy the unit is. I try to just basically pull the past few years. It doesn't seem like much. Those are relatively low numbers when you look at policing as a grand scale. But just from 2020, Kevin was seeing an intake around 135 phones. And just since I've been in the office, and so we're talking about early 23, I've personally handled over 300. So that's just how much it's increased since I've come in. Whether that's due to call volume, as we all know, policing is getting busier. But I tried to average out to about 5 hours per device, which, to be fair, that's aiming for the low end of things. So equating to approximately, just in 23, probably over 1,200 hours just performing extractions and analysis on these phones. That being said, I have a file right now where I have well over 20 exhibits, and we're talking about terabytes of data, which is a large amount. And for me to perform an analysis on, say, all the videos that I'm locating on there, that's hours and hours of me reviewing all that footage manually to locate certain items of value. Just in 24, this stats is taken from last week. I mean, I'm already into 71 phones of this year, and that's probably up to over 80 just since last week. So the cost of doing business. I'm an expensive unit. I'm an expensive person. The training alone, just to get a tech trained up from the ground up. So let's say you're going to take a civilian or even a police officer to get them trained up. It's well over $100,000 in training. And it usually takes over the course, I'd say approximately 2 years to get us maybe to the point where we can actually start processing files on our own. As most people know, police officers generally aren't very technical. So for a sworn person to have this kind of a little bit of an expertise in the background, or at least any kind of interest in it, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to find, especially in a service of this size. So obviously that can come into it. And that being said, just my software, the tools that I'm using within my unit, as the two examples I've brought up there. So the two main ones we're using currently right now are well over $60K US dollars, and that's an annual fee. Every tool that we have now is moved to, I shouldn't say every single one, 90%, 95% of them are a subscription base. So we are paying for these tools yearly. Gone are the days where you'd pay $50,000 and you'd have that tool for as long as you want to use it as many times as you want. So it's annually hitting us over and over. And as with inflation in the rest of the world, these costs will continue to move up. We're seeing increases because they're claiming these tools can do more, and they're doing possibly more in the background. But obviously, in the end, we have to pay who we pay because this is such a niche market. We only can use what we can is available. So yes, on average, we're seeing about a 20% increase. So now those are just my extraction tools. Those are just ones that I'm using to just get the data off of these devices. And then of course I have to perform a decoding of that information and then perform analysis on it. That's well over 40K USD. So we're talking about a one-person unit using all of these tools. And I have to pay more than probably what my cost is just for me to be in there. It's quite a busy place. Now, that being said, I'm so busy in that office, I'm almost performing a disservice to an extent because I'm not able to do more. There is way more work that I could be doing that I am not able to do because I'm too busy just performing my basic functions. There is research and development I should be working on when there's certain components and tools that come up. And right now I'm relying on other services and their research and development and their expertise as best I can, and because I don't have the time to do it myself. We have to deal with the vendors. We're dealing with all the background side of things. Just even think as our IT side of things can speak to, dealing with vendors and software updates. And every time there's a software update, things don't work anymore. So now I got to go back in and reinvent the wheel every single time. It's quite frustrating. Every Monday I come in, I don't know what's going to happen or with my tools because who knows what updated over the weekend. It is what it is. But that being said, it's a very important work that I'm doing. Recent stats that I've found online and even through my vendors are indicating that 90% of crime, they were even saying that's on the low side, has a technological element to it. Technically speaking, every single file that we work on, we could grab a phone off of whoever we arrest or whoever we're dealing with and pull information off that, and it would be relevant to the investigation. Even like, as I mentioned, a shoplifter, you could pull off of there. We have a string of them that are occurring in the city at any point in time. These are organized groups for the most part. We can pull that phone, pull the information off there. I'm getting the text messages, conversations, chats between these different parties, and are identifying people that aren't even that they're not even aware or involved in these things, and identifying all these suspects. Then we're either using them for our tools or our investigations, or sharing them out to other agencies. Especially we are in Southern Ontario. How many agencies are around here? And they're obviously getting more arrests and charges information from that. Especially some of the major files, we have a lot of the doors that we've kicked for our CDSA investigations and such like that. We're identifying people that are involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, weapons trafficking, that type of thing. And then other services are writing warrants for the information that I have processed and then they're using it for their investigation. So that's the thing. We're all sharing information and identifying countless things. I was told this morning that we had a domestic where a guy jumped off a balcony. I did the phone extraction on his device. They said just based on the information that came off the phone, the actual document that was located on there, that primarily was the reason that that person got 6 years convicted, was just on that. Without that, they probably would have not even got a conviction out of it. So that's the thing. These are things that are happening countless times over and over and over again. I personally, just in my short time in tech, I've located deceased members from homicide investigations just based on GPS coordinates located out of cloud extractions. Identified theft rings from cars. Obviously, that's the big word right now with the auto theft rings. I located the spots where the vehicles were being kept and stored and taken apart from one covered stolen vehicle. It was a Dodge Ram. And I just pulled the GPS coordinates of where the car had been sitting, identified the location, they wrote a warrant then and found over 40 cars sitting there. So that's the thing. These are stats and it's provable. And I guarantee you, if I can get into a phone, I can get you convictions. That's pretty much it. We can get justice out of a lot of this stuff just based on the phones I get into. And without getting into them, we would lose a lot. It's basically what it goes into. So, and I'm always behind and always trying to get caught up with every software update. So, yeah, not to mention obviously the speed of investigations. That's a big thing too. The faster I get into a phone, the faster that it gets back out to the members and the faster we get closure on it. So if we have, let's say, missing persons, basic things on that where I've tried to do cloud extractions or anything like that. So sorry if I haven't covered something. I understood I only had 10 minutes and I do speak fast and I apologize for that. But I was trying to get through it. Yes, so at this point in time, I am obviously just a lowly constable, but I will definitely suggest that the unit needs to grow. The unit has been the same staffing level since its origin in 2008. There was an addition of another member in 2016, but that's only because the unit split up to do an ICE investigation, so the child exploitation side, who is a provincially funded member who is not even within my unit anymore and does not touch my workload. So that has remained to be the same amount of persons in that unit since obviously 2008. I know the previous member has obviously he's sworn that we needed more assistance, we need more money, we need more, but I mean that's the world as a whole right now, and I understand that as well. But we also have to think how much technology changed since this unit has came into power in 2008. We used to see phones that were 16 gigabytes in size storage space, and we're seeing upwards of 1 terabyte. That's a lot of information. That's 1,000 gigs, just for reference. Specialized training, how much it takes to train a member to have somebody in here. Not to mention, I'm one person. God forbid something happens to me where I got to take some time off. That unit shuts down, it closes, and there's no one really else to take over, even for succession planning or anything like that. Not to mention OPP. You just send a phone to them right now, I guarantee you're not going to hear anything back for at least 6 months. That's just the way it is, and that's what I've heard from all the surrounding services. I'm also providing tech assistance to other areas. I was on a phone on Monday for a gentleman who works by himself in Belleville as well. They're training actually another sworn member, but he's just, the civilian is by himself currently while they train the other member because he needed my tech assistance to assist with a destroyed device. It was from a homicide investigation where a phone was buried underground and a lot of water damage. So he needed me for that. So that's the thing. I'm not just doing it in Kingston. I'm doing it across all these little municipalities and assisting where I can. Yeah. Oh, well, let's not forget about our 84-day disclosure rule that has come out recently as well. So not only do I have a lot of files and a lot of information, a lot of work to process, I now need to have everything done within 84 days and back out for the courts. It used to be I could take 6 months. I could take a year to work on an investigation, take my time, do it properly. Now that's gone. I have to have it all done within 84 days. So maybe things are going to be put on the back burner. Maybe things are going to be told no where I can't help because I just won't be able to perform my duties to the public. So that's where we're at now. That's all I have.
Very good, thanks. Very informative. So just so I know, so of the softwares that we use, you're the only one trained on those?
Paul Robb is trained to a certain extent, but as mentioned previously, his role is ICE, so it's child exploitation. So the components and evidence that I'm working on is just the general side, so everything except child exploitation. He is trained up. To be fair, he's only taken over from a Derek Frawley, who retired in 23 as well. But his role is provincially funded, so his job is to perform only the child exploitation side of things.
Okay.
So yes, I'm the only general tech. Yes.
Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that resonated certainly with me. You know, not every crime is a cyber crime, but every crime is a cyber-enabled crime. Can you articulate for the board more explicitly that what are the consequences for Kingston, for public safety, if your resources remain constant, if there are no additional resources in terms of the work that you do and the broader implications that has for other investigations or for community safety?
Yeah, to put it blank, it's just not going to happen. We're at a breaking point, in my opinion, now. Even before I entered the unit, I addressed it as a concern, a gross concern. I came from the Edmonton Police Service, obviously a large service. We're talking about 2,500 members with a 9-person unit. So I had a lot of people to rely upon coming into this, and I didn't even believe that there was a unit that would be one person. Things are going to be overlooked. Things are going to be missed. We're talking about important things that would, as mentioned, identify suspects or anything like that. To be honest, we're doing a disservice, in my opinion, just based on what I'm seeing. I'm trying to do as much as I can with as little as I have, and I don't want to whine. I don't want to come across as doing that, but we could do a lot more with in addition to, say, staffing, just to be able to do more. I'm producing reports for investigators that have never had any training in tech and expecting them to be able to go through this information, this large amount of data. And now they're struggling to go through it, but I can't assist to go through that. So we're doing a disservice. Justice is not going to be served. It basically is going to be along of it, where people are going to they're going to feel that way. I'm even seeing that now. So we have a lot of consent devices that come from people that have been victims of offenses, where I need to take their phone and do an extraction on it to get information to help them in their investigation. But because there's only one person in there, I got to obviously fit it in where I can. And don't get me wrong, I definitely put those at the top of the queue every single time. But that means it's also another 16 hours I'm not looking at another file. So things are taking longer and longer to get out. And I can tell you right now, we're going to be missing things, in my opinion.
And just to expand on that, I think it's really important to understand that over the years, how technology has changed, where it used to be the odd person had a phone, then every second person, everyone now has a phone, everyone has a video game, and now even drones, the cars, that the workload has become, and I'm in John's office quite frequently, trying to figure out, hey, what's our best plan forward? And Staff Sergeant Geen is here with us as well today in the audience, and they've been very patient. And of course, it comes down to A, understanding, and B, we know now with the Ministry of Attorney General's new disclosure protocol that cases are going to be dismissed if we don't have the evidence. And, frankly, it's really unfortunate because some of this is very technical. And when we see the costs in there, so we have a plan coming forward to the board to certainly assist in this regard. And it's somewhere that I think a lot of places have underestimated the capability, because as I always say, I'm a police officer for a reason, because I'm not a tech guru or expert. And the people who are certainly, and unfortunately the criminal element, they know that technology works to their advantage. So it's really important we be there to counter it. And John, I know you're here and you're very passionate about what you do. And when you go in this office and look at it, it's daunting. Every time I go in, I just go, how do you sit in here? But we're going to work our way through it. But thank you for that. It was tremendous. And
Go ahead, Gil.
Thanks for that, Chief. Also, just a quick question in regard, you mentioned that in another force, in another service, pardon me, that it's a civilian member. Are you specifically looking to sworn officers being in this unit? Or are you looking for tech types specifically under the direction of a sworn officer?
To be 100% honest with you, I'm completely open to really anything at this point. And we had a hybrid model, which is what we called it out there at West. We had 3 civilians that worked with 6 sworn. To be 100% honest with you, I'm not taking it I'll take what I can get. I'm not discounting. The problem is, I think there's a good element in both. There's a valuable element in both, right? Police officers, especially, they have experience with investigations. Testifying is a huge thing I've seen. I know Durham in particular had a very, very brilliant civilian working for them, but was getting burned out quickly and did not do well with the court process after the fact, which obviously that's what our entire job is. If we cannot testify to the information we're doing, then it's the file will fall apart. He's now no longer in the unit. So that's not to say I can't see that we can't have a civilian, because it could definitely still work, but there's obviously plus and minus to both. We could find a civilian, possibly somewhere around, that has some sort of schooling and background, which is amazing. There's the fellow that's out in Belleville is a brilliant man. He's been in the field since 2018. He was with the private sector in the bank doing frauds and such like that. Very smart guy. But once again, with the court side of things, I think that may come into challenge as well. I think a hybrid model is definitely a really good tool. But that being said, also to have another police officer in there who would help with warrants, it adds for bodies as well. If we just need more bodies to happen to go out on the road or attend warrants, we don't need to rely on getting another guy off the road to, guy or gal to come off of the road to come assist us with that as well. So I think there's obviously either way could honestly work. But to find a police officer that also has a tech background is also quite difficult. Most of them are, I can only think of maybe 3 in the service that probably would have some sort of tech background that would actually be able to do it. And it's pretty small.
So just a question to you, when you do work for other forces, do we bill for that?
Generally, it's not billing because we're trying to solve a crime that might be local. Most of the services have around us the technology and the ability to do it. And when I say that, again, in Aquay, Belleville, Brockville, they all have similar technology, and people, sometimes there's that odd thing that's a really unique thing that we're always there to help. And we know that when we need something, we reach out and they return and reciprocate. And certainly the new Police Services Act, the Community Safety and Policing Act, has expanded duties of special constable to include exactly what John does. So that gives us the opportunity to look and go, what's the best replacement for Kingston? Is it a uniformed officer? Is it a civilian? And we have the ability now to look at that and make that decision, what's best for the organization. And that's on the horizon very, very, very soon.
Very good. Thank you, Constable Terrio. All right. All right, then we'll continue. I'm going to ask if there's a disclosure of conflict of interest. No. Can I get an approval of the agenda? Yeah. All in favor? Thank you. And the agenda is approved. Adoption of the minutes for meeting 2403 held on March 21st, 2024 be adopted. Thank you, Gail. All in favor? Good. As far as the communications from the Ministry of the Solicitor General, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards, Office of the Inspector General and Policing of Ontario, and Victim Services of Kingston and Frontenac be received. Is there any questions of any of the anything that's been brought to us? No? Okay, then I'm gonna have to ask for a motion so we accept those communications. Thank you, Gail. Yep, Christian, very good, thank you. All in favor? Moving forward, delegations, there are none. I'm gonna ask the chief if she'd like to speak to any of the reports that we've received.
Certainly, and barring any questions, I'll do that. But we're giving you the snapshot of our Q1 statistical reports. And, once again, we're always cautious with regards to, a snapshot is just a short period of time. But you can certainly see in areas where we've got increases like mischiefs, where we're seeing a lot of that, and recidivism, and the same people doing the same thing over and over and over. We're chasing the same people doing these things. And then we're happy when we see robberies are down from 17 to 5. And certainly assaults, which is something that we're working on, but they went up again this quarter. So, a lot of intimate partner violence, and we're still working our way through all of this stuff. But needless to say, there's always trends that are up and down. We're trying to stay on top of those in relation to our quarterly stats. In regards to use of force, we provided all the updates in regards to use of force where it was 13 incidents compared to last year, we had 16 incidents. And we have 10 team reports, which is generally our emergency response unit. So when they're out executing warrants, we had 10 team reports compared to 7 team reports last year, and 3 individual reports last year or this year compared to 12 last year. So continually ensuring that we're compliant with the legislation and reporting. And once again, all of these get monitored by our training department and our senior staff to ensure we don't have any trends that we see, and then we act upon that. So that's where we're sitting with our regards to our quarterly statistics.
Does the board have any questions for Chief? No, okay. Same.
And then St. Patrick's Day, once again, I know we've talked about it. Inspector Funnel is with us in the audience today, should there be any questions regarding it. However, we've kind of provided a summary of 2013 kind of year in review. We can say that we're extremely, we're extremely satisfied to see where we're coming with our police liaison team, with our enforcement team strategy, with our relationship with the OPP and their public order / crowd management team that obviously is here to give us a hand. And, we have to really thank Queen's University because we've been getting more access to the university, which is allowing us more opportunity to speak to the students and, in fact, get our messaging across. We're not the big bad guy. We're trying to make sure everybody's safe. And this year was certainly, for me, I spent a lot of time down there with our team who was there all day on Saturday and most of the day Sunday. Watching the compliance from the students was something I'd never seen, and ensuring the crowd was celebratory. It's St. Patrick's Day, they're celebratory. We understand taking over the street is not permitted, drinking on the street is not permitted, but we're starting to see some compliance. And as we always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. We can't change yesterday. But we're starting to get the messaging through. And even when you see our enforcement statistics are down, it's not for lack of trying. And I applaud the students for, if it was a game of cat and mouse, the mouse won. And good for them because they are starting to follow the rules and come and ask. And despite the fact it's a large gathering, we're starting to gain compliance. And as we say, compliance, then we shift from enforcement to management. And that's what our goal is. When we can shift from enforcement to management, we know we've got something. So as with anything, when there's a crowd that large, it can change on a moment's notice. That's why we deploy the manner in which we do, and we put a lot of planning. And I say always good planning leads to good results. And I applaud all of our people. Inspector Funnel had the lead this year with Sergeant Huffman putting together our matrix and our incident commanders. We had a large number of them involved either on the ground. We had all the inspectors were working and either on the ground or in command center, and it was really well done. And anything you need from that report is there. I'm happy to answer any questions, but it was a successful event. It is expensive. We've got the cost that went out, and it's in this report. It cost $175,000 to do it for 2 days. And, this is something that obviously it's in the budget this year, thankfully. And, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of money, but we have to be prepared. We can't not be prepared. So, we are looking at every way we can do to reduce costs, and we'll continue to do that moving into September move-in and homecoming, and we'll continue our police liaison approach.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Christian, go ahead.
Chief, the bulk of police resources are spent on reactive policing, and I want to commend you for the effort of allocating more resources effectively to proactive policing and for the way you're able to articulate the benefits, both in terms of the resource economies and efficiencies achieved, as well as the overall benefits for public safety and for the social fabric within Kingston associated with those efforts to proactive policing.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because it's really important, because what I neglected to say, which is my bad, is that our staff and the stuff that they're doing is remarkable. And I know that I've only been here a short period of time, but St. Patrick's Day this year was a marked departure from attitude of most people from last year. And we're trying our best to not be there. We don't want to be there. We wish the event never happened, then we wouldn't be there. But that lead up and the investment at the beginning if nobody believes a word I say, all you have to do is look at a picture of before and after last year and this year. It looked like a bomb went off last year. And this year, I don't even think they needed the street sweeper to go up the street. So, that's a marked departure from what we saw. And the data on its own, it proves everything. There's, you don't have to believe me. If we do 400 tickets one year and the next year we have the same enforcement, same strategy and do 100, like I said, I was there and saw relatively few, 1 or 2 cans of beer. I know there was more, but at the end of the day, our staff went out. They had smiles on their faces despite maybe not wanting to, and the interaction where we can't prohibit people to walk the streets, but we can say, if you go down this street, you're going to get a $500 fine. And people go, my goodness, I don't want that. What can I do? And they say, go around the block. Problem solved. So we saw a lot of that, and next year and leading up to September, there'll be a lot of the same. The upfront investment I can't talk highly enough. So thank you. And to our staff, a huge thank you to them.
Thanks. Okay. Next, we're going to have, we need a motion to accept those reports. Thank you, Gail, Christian, all in favor. And then other motions, there's none. New business, if any.
Oh, yes, I wanted to just bring, it's just an attention matter with regards to, we spoke of the special there's certainly an all chiefs about special constables, but just for the board, because there is a new process under the new Community Safety and Policing Act about appointment of special constables. And just as an information item, if we were to hire a new special constable, we would have to go through the new process. But we have one member who has to be renewed in August. So by August of 24, we'll need to have our ducks in a row with regards to the new process. And the next one after that would be April 25. So we're in very good shape.
Very good. Then I would say, let's move in camera. And if I could have a first or seconder, Gail, Christian, all in favor, thank you. Then let's have a 5-minute break. Thank you.
And I think I need a link. I'll double check.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll send you one, Christian.